Broadcasting live from Field of the Dead, possibly for the last time. This is Tap Tap Concede. Graham here.
Cameron here.
Hi, I'm Nelson, and my hairdresser is 3 years old.
Nice. Not, to be clear, not that it's Tap Tap Concede for possibly the last time, but might be the last time from Lake of the Dead, question mark? We'll talk more about Standard a little later in the show. What's up, Beach?
You said Lake of the Dead again.
I said
That's
Lake of the
okay.
Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Graham thinks
card
Field of the Dead is Lake of the Dead.
Field of the Dead. What is Lake of the Dead?
Lake of the Dead is also a magic card, I believe, from the set Alliances.
Wow, that's old.
Yeah, it
Oh,
enters.
it taps for a bunch of different things, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
as it enters the battlefield, I believe you have to sacrifice a swamp, and then if you can't, it probably doesn't enter the battlefield or something, because it can tap and add a black mana, or you can tap and sacrifice a swamp to add 4 black mana.
Right.
Yeah, it has. So it's like the old version from Alliances says something like, when it enters the battlefield, you must sacrifice a swamp. But the way the rules work, then they had to change the writing so that people couldn't like sneakily not sacrifice that swamp, then make 4 mana with it,
Right.
before it would die. Kind of like how Lion's Eye Diamond had to be tweaked to have
Right,
a mana
right.
ability that you can only do at instant speed.
Right. Okay.
So you can't sneaky have a Black Lotus.
Anyway, so
Anyways.
we'll be talking a little bit about Field of the Dead later in the show. But before that, we're going to talk about some new announcements that WotC made merely yesterday at time of recording. And before that, we're going to crack a pack. So before that, we're going to remind you that this show is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR for all of your Card Kingdom needs. And they'll, if you say Loading Ready Run sent me, they'll give you a little 1-inch button. I don't know what it says right now, but there's a whole new batch of brand new ones. There's 4 new ones in the coming months, so look out for those. Also, I will be going to Card Kingdom for their charity event, The Chalice, at the end of October, and it's me versus a whole bunch of other community content creators, many of them also Card Kingdom affiliates, and you can help me make a better deck by donating to the charity. And you can find my page at chalice2019.cosvox.com/Graham-Stark. And I'm currently in 5th place, though Prof is threatening to shave his head, so he may end up raising. He may be the leader this year because I'm not offering such things. I just want you to give money to charity because you want to. Haha.
Cardkingdom.com, a fiefdom of noble acts.
Yeah.
Prof Caillou is an intensely weird. I don't think I like that at all.
I think it would look. I think he'd look deeply odd.
Yeah.
We're throwing it down, bro.
Yeah. Sorry, Brian. I think you'd look weird bald.
Here you are, and here's the bus.
Also, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Thank you.
Thanks for keeping the lights on.
All right, let's crack a pack.
All right.
Who's rolling? Cam, go for it. Goodbye. That die is going all the way over to the door, and it's a 17. Wow. 2, 4,
That's a hit.
6, 8, 10.
I hope so.
Now roll
16.
your damage dice.
17.
Well, I'll need the die 20 again.
Born of the Gods.
Oh.
This was given to us by Lucas and Serena in mail time. And Born of the Gods, of course, part of the original Theros block, and Theros is coming back soon.
That's right.
In January.
But this time it's only going to have 1 set, or 2, or something.
Yeah. So, first up,
God,
our
Charging
old
Badger.
friend Charging Badger.
Yeah. Was this a LRR preview?
No, we just
Okay,
developed
okay.
an odd fixation with this card.
Oh yeah, for
some
sure.
reason.
It was an early meme deck
Yeah,
around the time that people
well-
started figuring out what memes were. If you were old,
Well, so what happened was we did a video. This is when we were still doing draft videos for MTGO Academy.
okay.
And Magic Online used to do, they might still, but I've been playing mostly Arena recently. Magic Online used to do this thing where it's different because of how sets are drafted now. But Born of the Gods came out, so the official draft format became Born of the Gods, Theros.
Right.
Or was it Born,
It should have been
Theros?
Born Theros.
Yeah, Born
I think.
Theros.
Yeah.
Because it was, the point is you were never intended to draft Born of the Gods by itself because it's a small set.
Right. Except maybe on pre-release weekend on Moto.
So that's the thing. On Magic
Yeah.
Online, wow, the card reader briefly thought that my hand was an Oduno's River Trawler. That's upsetting.
Yep. You got to live with that for the
It
rest of
saw
your
the
life.
skeleton in my body that is trying to escape. Anyway, so there was Yeah, very briefly, on pre-release weekend, like you say, on Magic Online, you could draft triple Born of the Gods. And so James and I did, and we built the Charging Badger deck, which was as many Charging Badgers as we could. The
Aspect of Hydra.
Yes, but this was our 1-drop. The 2-drop was it's a 3/2 Centaur for green. The Centaur, Swordwise Centaur, thank you. And then
3/2 no abilities. Right.
Aspect of Hydra, which is devotion. The creature gets +X/+X, where X is your devotion to green. So we had all these green pips, and we would just be like, every combat, we're just like, cool, attack you with 3 Charging Badgers. And they're like, I block this one, and it's like, cool, that one's an 8/8 now. So your creature dies and you take a bunch of damage. And it's basically how we 3-0'd that event with this ridiculous deck. So
that's all you wanted to do.
That's why Charging Badger is a meme for us now. So anyway, and now you know. Floodtide Serpent is next. It's a 4 and a blue for a 4/4 serpent. It can't attack unless you return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand.
Solid pickup for a Judge Tower.
Yeah, these were interesting actually because there were ETB effects on enchantments and
Yeah, there was I don't know if it was in this set or in Theros, but the 1 and a blue, the creature gains flying and it draws you a card. So you could it also worked well for recycling heroic. Just keep targeting your own stuff. So, or take your sort of pacifism effect and target their now bigger threat. Fellhide Brawler, 1 and a black for a 2/2 Minotaur that can't block unless you control another Minotaur. Sure. Very abstract art from Nils Ham here, considering the rest of the set.
Yeah, I always found this one a little confusing. Like, it looks like the Minotaur is as large as some mountains to me, like the perspective here, but I guess he's just walking past some cool shaped rocks.
I think it's maybe
like in the foreground and the mountains are in the background.
Or it's also in the afterlife.
Sure.
Because it talks about
burial rights?
Fellhide burial rights. So I don't know.
Okay, yeah. I don't know.
Ifara's Radiance is a single white mana for a creature enchantment, and the creature gains 1 and a white and tap, you gain 3 life. Not good, but potentially annoying. I'm talking about limited here.
I wonder if this, I never played it, but I wonder if this kind of effect is actually just about as good as having a tapper. Where you're just like, what do you do with your tapping creatures? Like, you're in white and you have some sort of, master decoy effect.
You stop yourself from
taking 2 or 3.
Taking 2 or 3 every turn.
Yeah, it's like you just tap their 2/2 flyer. So, maybe this isn't that bad.
Constellation was in this set or the next set?
Next set.
Okay. Constellation was anytime an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card.
But you still might get some value out of 1 white mana enchantment, and you have a heroic creature. Yeah.
The premium common removal for the set, Bolt of Keranos, 1 red for a sorcery that deals 3 damage to creature or player, presumably oracled to say any target at this point, but I don't know offhand.
Probably.
And you scry 1. This is when they started bringing scry back. Scry was like a big scry, a returning mechanic in this set, and now it's just you scry all the time, which I love.
It might have been around this set
scrying.
they made it evergreen.
I think it was after this set. Okay. I think they brought it back and it was like, ooh, cool, scry's back, and then it was a thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Sudden Storm, 3 and a blue for an instant tap up to 2 target creatures. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap steps, and scry 1. Very nice to buy yourself a lot of tempo. Tap it down on their attack, and then you get 2 turns. Or you get 2 attacks. Kragma Butcher, 2 and a red for a 2/3 Minotaur Warrior with Inspired, which says whenever this becomes untapped, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So there you go. Aspect of Hydra. There we are.
You got it.
Single green mana +X/+X until end of turn, where X is your devotion to green.
Which one do you pick and which one do you try to wheel?
Definitely you're going to wheel Aspect of Hydra.
Okay.
You're probably going to wheel both of them, but not obviously.
Well, you're picking one.
Yeah.
It's your whole deck.
Exactly.
There's nothing else to pick.
Mortal's Resolve.
Except that, maybe.
Yeah. 1 and a green for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains indestructible until end of turn.
I think YJ might be sold out of this card.
Really?
Yeah, it's common, but I don't know if we have any.
Oh.
Really?
Now we're into the uncommons. First up is Airy Worshippers. 3 and a blue for a 2/4 human cleric with Inspired. Whenever it becomes untapped, you may pay 2 and a blue, and if you do, put a 2/2 blue bird enchantment creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Yeah, all right.
This is definitely
Yeah.
the first pick so far.
yeah.
Yeah. Easily.
Combine it with the other. That's the other advantage to that.
As far as radiance.
Is it
Yep.
lets you tap your creatures without getting them into combat.
Just like this card.
Just like Springleaf Drum, single mana artifact. Tap it and an untapped creature you control to add 1 mana of any color.
This might be like the 4th most valuable card from Born of the Gods.
Really?
Something like.
What's it going for?
It's
Like a dollar?
Yeah.
Ragemonger is hey, who wants some rage? It's one
Right here.
black
I
red.
got it. Just look at my heart.
Just like
yeah.
is flicking like cards at you.
Yeah. 1 black red for a 2/3 Minotaur Shaman. Minotaur spells you cast cost black red less to cast. This effect reduces only the amount of colored mana you may pay. So as the reminder text here says, for example, if you cast a Minotaur spell with mana cost 2 and a red, it costs 2 instead. Also, the spell is so nice we got it twice because we also have a Ragemonger in foil.
Sick.
Which is kind of neat. And our rare is Big Tromes, the Tromokratus. 5 blue for an 8/8 Kraken. Legendary Kraken with hexproof it has hexproof unless it's attacking or blocking. And it can't be blocked unless all creatures defending player controls block it. So everything, and that includes if they have any creatures that can't block it, right? If any creature that player controls doesn't block, yeah. So if they
have a tapped creature, like they can't block.
If they have a tapped creature or a creature under like a pacifism or something, if they have any creatures that are unable to block it, then they can't block it at all. That was a great way to win a pre-release, let me tell you.
2014 me probably would have slammed the rare here. I definitely have first picked this in some Born of the Gods draft, but after like looking back on the format and being the player I am 5 years later, I think I'm just taking Area Worshippers. It's awkward that they're the same color, but not so awkward that I don't just take that 2/2
Yeah,
flyer
I think
engine.
I take the Airy Worshippers as a pillar field ox that makes 2/2 flyers.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was a pack of Born of the Gods. Thank you, Lucas and Serena, for that pack. Now, speaking of packs to crack, Wizards has announced some new things. They had their big announcement stream this week. They talked a little bit about Theros Beyond Death. They mentioned Ikoria, Land of Behemoths.
Okay, is that the second set of
That's
2020?
That's the set following Theros
Right.
Beyond Death.
Okay.
But they also talked about Unsanctioned.
Right.
Which is it's not a new unset, which is a real shame, but it is a new silver bordered product in the timeline.
Yeah. TLDR unbox set.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of like the way that Dual Decks, for example, is like some cards. I mean, Dual Decks maybe a bad example because no new cards, but it's like this product where you just like you buy it and you get everything that has that expansion symbol on it.
Yeah.
It's a box set. So
it's a
hit me with the deets.
Yeah, so it's a pre-constructed silver bordered like box that has 5 30-card decks, one in each color, and 6. So it's got reprints of cards from previous unsets and 16 brand new uncards, and then also new full art black bordered basic lands that will do the unline proud, they say. So it's a nice excuse to get some new fancy full art lands out there. So basically, it's one thing that you buy. You buy the box of Unsanctioned, and it comes with the 5 30-card decks, 2 D6, 10 double-sided tokens, the 10 full basic arts, 5 regular or full art basic lands, 5 regular and 5 in foil, and the box, which can be reused. And so the way that you play it is that you take 2 of the 5 30-card decks and you shuffle them together into a 60-card deck, and you fight your opponent who's doing the same thing.
And that's exactly what will
interesting.
happen to every one of these boxes, and none of them will have all the basic lands removed and the rest thrown directly into the garbage.
Yeah.
No one's going to do that.
I'm, on the one hand, it's like, oh, okay, I'd prefer it if it was like a whole new unset, but also Unstable came out fairly recently, and this is clearly, and it was very successful, and this is clearly sort of like, well, we can't knock out a new Unstable right away, but maybe we can give people a little silver bordered fun time.
I think like the announcement of what we know about this set so far is going to lead a lot of enfranchised players to kind of like a disappointing sort of like, well, this is like a medium take. But honestly, like I actually do think that this box set could be a lot of fun. I like the idea that they're like,
Oh,
hey,
we're gonna play it.
Give me
definitely.
let me give you this little like 2-player dual decks-ish product that just like, you know, makes you have a breathing contest, or
Yeah.
like you play rock paper scissors in the middle of your game, or you have to like ask weird trivia questions of your opponent. And so I actually think that like for the way that I play Magic casually, this could be a lot of fun.
I think
Yeah.
so too. I think this will be a
And I also think
Fun
a lot of people are just going to have to like rip this box set to get basic lands they want. And I think that's like a little weird and sad, but
Yeah.
but
Like,
the set idea sounds cool.
Yeah, I when I heard about it, I was like, it's not quite what I wanted. And then I remembered that my reaction to Unstable was like, I don't know about joke sets.
Sure,
and it turned
sure.
into my like favorite limited environment.
Right.
it's super fun.
Yeah.
And it's like low key the sweatiest limited environment
my
that
gosh,
I played in.
yeah.
Like
Right.
Yeah.
powerful cards.
Yeah.
Powerful Magic. You know,
And you have a good feeling, like so I can try to describe this like mental landscape. It's like you have a good feeling about, hey, let's drop my box of Unstable. Everyone will have a good time. We'll play a few rounds of Magic, and then I have a whole bunch of basic lands. But I did something with all these silver border cards.
Yes.
Whereas like there's this weird thing about like packaging these new full art lands that people are always going to want because they're like the new full art lands in this box set that then like isn't necessarily attached to an event. It's part of like a 2-player game, and like
right.
I don't know.
Kind of
There's
like
just
the,
something about the way that we consume the product that makes me feel good or bad. Yeah.
kind of like the Ravnica guild decks.
Right. There's these
that
basic
came-
lands in those. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that
guild
came-
kits. Right.
Yeah. I can definitely see this making a good stream. So in February, look forward to that.
Yeah.
We should do it. No promises. We should do it with like randomize the like the two
yeah.
players sit down and it's like, all right, you get red and you get green, and then your second deck is just like roll the spin the
Yeah.
wheel.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I don't know. That sounds like it could be a lot of fun. I'm just glad that they're getting more jokes out of their way.
I'm stoked to see a new unproduct as recently as this, since
Yeah.
it was Unstable in 2018 or 2017.
17, I
It was
think.
at the end of
Summer-
2017. It was
Okay.
in because the PPR was in
Oh, it was
December.
Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. PPR was winter.
Yeah, but it had been years since they'd been
Yes,
since
so
they'd allowed
long.
themselves to
And
have jokes.
But they had two pretty close together. Unhinged didn't come out that much longer after Unglued.
yes,
It was 2 or 3 years.
and then but after that was why they were like,
Unhinged,
oh,
there was,
we've
like,
saturated
huge-
the market
yeah.
too much. This is a terrible idea. Let's never do this ever again.
Yeah, but if we
And
could
then-
get an unset like every 3 years or something, that might be
That
sweet.
would be sweet. I would like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Unstable, we've said it already, but Unstable was fantastic.
Super fun.
Yeah.
As a
like-
draft environment and an experience, just so much fun.
What else did they announce?
They
There's
announced
a new
2 more products, right?
Yeah, a new gift box.
Yes, there's a Throne of Eldraine gift box. It might have a
this up.
different name, but it is 10 packs of Throne of Eldraine. By the way, draft boosters. And when I was reading about this on the way here, I just like, I had a neat little, like, it was like I felt someone put their hand on my back and kind of like, you know, just pat me, just make me feel a little better, like, hey, it's going to be okay. We're calling them draft boosters.
Yeah.
And I actually, although like the split between the collector's boosters and the theme boosters, at first I was like, this is neat, like it's fine that these products exist, but it's like kind of cumbersome. But no, I actually really like calling them draft boosters because it just packages, you know, mentally with everyone what to do with them. This
Yeah.
is what you should be doing with your boosters, is
It's-
drafting them.
It's a name and a command.
It's right. Draft boosters.
Draft
An
boosters.
imperative.
We
Yes.
want you. Whatever that pose is, I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, it also comes with one collector booster.
Rosie the Riveter, like we can draft boosters.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
draft it.
Yeah, we can draft it. Exactly.
Nice. So it's got one collector booster, an oversized spin down, apparently. It says one
so
special
big it'll fall off the
oversized
table when
spin
Cam
down.
rolls it. Yeah.
10 draft boosters, 20 regular basics, 20 foil basics, and a foil art alt bundle promo card.
And almost certainly a pretty box that is actually useful for holding Magic cards.
Right, because we've had these
That's
before.
usually what they are. It's like a nice
the
box
gift
with 10
boxes,
packs and one promo or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've seen them.
I'm into it.
So there was that announcement, like there was at least 3 comments under Gavin Verhey's Twitter when he was like announcing this announcement later and being like, it's going to be the gift box. It's that time of year. So that one was pretty on, you know, on time or whatever, I guess. Predictable. The unset, certainly not so much.
That was a surprise, yeah.
Yeah.
But then the last thing was also, and I don't think anyone maybe saw this one coming, it's the return of game night, right?
Oh, right.
So the
Yeah.
game night, there's only been one game night box so far. I believe it was released in fall or winter of 2018. And it was 5 casual decks that are meant, like 60-card decks that are meant to be played against each other. But then I don't think with too many more rules. So I have never played game night. I did sell some. We didn't get a ton of them into Yellow Jacket, but we sold through them eventually. And yeah, I think it was just basically 5 decks in a nice box, so you could play against your friends, and they were basically intro pack decks. Or they were like a little curated with older cards that aren't standard too. But they've announced they're going to do a Throne of Eldraine version that is, again, I believe, meant to be multiplayer, and those are all the details I remember about exactly.
I'm trying to find more information
That's fine.
about it.
Exactly, Throne of Eldraine game night.
Huh.
Yeah.
They also announced. There's also just an article that is 2 sentences from Blake
This is hilarious.
on the Wizards thing of the mystery booster.
Huh.
It says the picture is mystery booster. The word mystery looks like it's from the opening titles of Unsolved Mysteries Revealed with Jonathan Frakes. It says mystery booster convention edition. Thanks,
Yeah,
Beej. That's horrifying,
exactly.
but yes. And he
That's
just
it.
says, "What is this mysterious thing? Find out more at Magic Fest Richmond." That's the extent of that. So that's
Perfect.
curious. Okay. Weird. Anyway, okay. So sorry, I sort of cut off the game nights, the game night discussion. Cool.
okay.
I mean, I guess it was a product that enough people liked that they're going to do another crack at it, and
Yeah.
that seems sweet. This is kind of baffling with how clued in I am to MTG news that the first game night set really slipped under my radar.
I'm trying to make sure that I even have this correct. I'm also just digging for this announcement article. But yeah, it was the first game night definitely happened.
I had heard someone mention something at some point, I thought, and maybe I just thought I'd misheard them and they were talking about Jimmy and Josh's show, Game Nights. But I remember at Yellow Jacket, I saw the 5-point box, and I was sort of like, what is this? And someone was like, oh, that's the Game Night box. It came out last month. And I was like, what? What is this thing? And yeah, we never played with it on stream or anything. Maybe we'll do that this time.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah.
Okay, we can come back to that. There was another announcement that happened 4 days ago.
Okay.
And it's reminded me that we need to tell people about an upcoming episode of Tap Tap Concede, where we are going to, this is the smoothest possible segue we've ever had, where we're going to talk about nicknames for this set.
Oh, the nicknames. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're going to, I was going to mention that at the end as well,
All right.
but yeah.
All right, we're doubling down on our ability to remember things here.
Yes, the Throne of Eldraine nicknames episode. If you want to get involved with that, go to lrr.cc/nicknames. That will take you to the TTC nicknames subreddit. We are still using Reddit this time, though someone has contacted us to potentially work on a homegrown solution, so maybe stay tuned for Theros, but we're still using that. And so the way that it works is that you go to the subreddit. If you have a suggestion for a name, throw it in the comments, or if you just want to upvote names that are there, upvote the ones that you like. And when you see them, the scores are hidden and the names are randomized, so you don't know which one's already necessarily leading the votes. And then in a week or so's time, we'll be sharing those with you because we like doing the nicknames. So now, further announcements from Wizards of the Coast.
Okay.
This was a couple days before, by the way. It wasn't in the stream yesterday.
Yeah.
On the Thursday before, like yesterday from filming. Yeah.
The next upcoming banned and restricted announcement was supposed to be in November.
It was supposed to be November 18th, yeah.
And they said, taking into account tournaments that are coming up and the nature of the competitive Magic schedule, we need to make that happen sooner. And so they've moved it up to October 21st.
That's right, October 21st.
So almost a whole month in advance.
Right.
Because what events are coming up?
Well, there's going to be some pretty high level events.
There's a mythic.
There's a mythic championship of some kind. This weekend there are 2 Magic Fests, which will have just happened
before the BNR. Yeah,
and then the following weekend. So there's you'll see this the week before the October 18th through 20th Magic Arena Mythic Championship 5. So this is just an arena championship.
Right.
We don't know exactly what coverage we'll get, but I still believe they bring a small number of players together to play on computers in the same building.
Yeah,
right?
This is the one that they broadcast. The first one of these was they broadcast from PAX.
Right.
That was the Mythic Invitational, but I believe that's a similar sort of very esports.
So
setup.
there'll be an esports setup, but I don't believe it's going to have like tickets sold to it in a live audience.
Think so, no.
Yeah, so it's just like it's happening somewhere. It doesn't really matter to us who are watching it where it happens.
Right.
But anyways, that's coming up the 2 days before this BNR announcement. So they're kind of like letting us know that right after a sort of Pro Tour level event, they would like to have the opportunity to shake up the format.
Yeah.
There's another Mythic Championship. Get this, it's November 10th. This is the Tabletop Mythic Championship. So we're in this year of like the new face of Magic Esports and the $10 million prize year. And so it happens that these 2 events are less than a month apart. So the first one is much smaller because the Arena Mythic Championships are kind of like invitationals. I think it's 64 players, something around. It might not be that exact count because...
And the paper ones are more like traditional Pro Tours.
Yeah, they're more like a big 400-player tournament.
And the BNR,
and they're in paper with paper cards.
And the BNR announcement would have fallen after
the week
both
after
of
that,
them.
exactly.
And now it's happening between them.
Yeah, so I think it's like... We don't know for sure whether, Ian Duke and Wizards of the Coast. Ian's just the person who writes the BNR articles, or whoever it is that's on the play design and the OP teams. I don't know exactly where the responsibility lies for making these decisions, but we don't know if they necessarily have something in mind. But we do know they want the opportunity to set up a different course of, viewer content between these 2. Big tournaments between these 2 Mythic Championships.
So whether or not they have anything in mind that they want to ban, they want the certainty of what will or will not be banned to happen before Mythic Championship 6. Is that what
it's
that is?
Mythic Championship 6, and that should be the last one. Oh no, there's a 7. My bad. There's another one on December 6th, another Arena Championship. So wow, there is a lot of really high level competitive play coming in the last couple of months. That's exciting.
So having said they may or may not have something banned, the supposition is that they're moving it. Like what a weird thing to do would be like we're moving the BNR announcement. No changes. Like that would be weird.
Yeah.
Like it's possible, but it'd be weird. The supposition is that, as we sort of teased at the beginning, that they're probably going to ban Field of the Dead. Now I don't play much Standard, but here, first of all, let me just quickly explain Field of the Dead. It's a land. It's from
M20.
M20, yes.
M20,
I'm just waiting for Beach to pull it up. He's trying to look. There we go. Great. So it's from M20. Field of the Dead. Land. Enters tapped. Taps for 1 colorless. Cool. When it or another land enters the battlefield under your control, any land, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token.
You know what's funny too? I hadn't even looked at the art before. Thanks for blowing it up in this huge TV screen for me, Beach. It's by Kev Walker, one of my favorite Magic artists, and it's Bridge from Below. Like
it's zombies crawling out of the earth.
Yeah. I noticed it was just a big field, and I kind of thought it was just like there are some skeletons there maybe, but I've noticed now that I'm looking at it closely, like no, they're crawling up from the underworld. Like these zombies weren't in that field, and they're not even staying in that field, but that field happens to be where this crevasse is that leads to where they should be.
Yeah. And the way that this plays out, Cam, you were describing the sort of the
play pattern, right?
Yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for, the play pattern with Field of the Dead.
Well, yeah, you get out Field of the Dead and Growth Spiral, right, in order to generate the requisite number of lands or play additional lands on your turn to proc more Field of the Dead. So you wind up in situations where you're like, Wrath, you're bored, and they're like, cool, you get these 3 zombies. Next turn, make 3 more zombies, right? And it's not really anything you can interact with or have much to do about.
So
players will search up. I'm sorry, Nelson.
Yeah, using Golos.
Yeah,
as well.
so so Golos is the thing. Circuitous Route is also a big part of this deck because Circuitous Route goes and gets 2 lands, and so you make it so that you have the 7 lands with different names, and ideally 3, maybe even all 4 copies of Field of the Dead, and then that just means that any land you play just makes you 4 zombies, and so you play Growth Spiral or Circuitous Route or Golos or anything that lets you search up lands and put them directly into play, and then all these triggers hit the stack and you're making zombies, and like Cam was saying, your opponent wraths, and then you just go, okay, that sucks. I put 2 land into play and make 8 more zombies. I don't care, and
they can do that.
So
most turns, right?
Being more plugged into Standard, how's this been playing out?
Well, I haven't run into it a ton, but I talk about it a lot. So the fear, I guess, and the kind of the response from Wizards that they're moving this BNR date is just like, the format ends up being too gummed up and too stalled. Normally when there's a powerful, kind of late game play like this, there's something useful that the opponents can do to interact, either like in the early or mid game. And Unmoored Ego is an option, but it's kind of not a great card on its own. And Field of Ruin, another field, it's funny, just rotated out of Standard. So you don't have access to like free land destruction anymore, which honestly, I think Field of Ruin was like reasonable. Field of the Dead was getting played a bit before, but it's not the Field of the Dead decks now post Eldraine. They're more sort of just like grindy, like you're explaining, like you can just keep making tons of tokens, and you could have done that before, but you kind of need to. You'd be like Scape Shift on the end step because you have a Teferi, get 8 tokens, untap, attack, win, and like the way if that deck is winning too much, then maybe it needs to get addressed. But at least like the play pattern of the deck isn't a problem itself, so it's like not too slow. Yeah, like I've never seen I've never watched any streams of people actually playing this deck, but I've seen them play against it. Right. And their opponent basically, they just go like, land, and then Growth Spiral, and then untap and Circuitous Route, and then suddenly they have 7 land already right there. And they play a Golos. And then and then they play Golos, and then they just, it's like turn 5, and they're just like, now I'm starting to make lots and lots of zombies. What are you going to do about it? And typically the answer is die to zombies. Right. Yeah, if you have a land that generates your win con, that's usually pretty obnoxious in Magic. Like sometimes there's lots of land destruction, or a card that's like a good card that's proactive that also acts as a block to whatever, like a defensive card against whatever your opponent's doing. But in this case, deck brewers have been struggling. Well, like kind of answer, go wide, play lots of lands, field the deck strategy. Well, it feels also miserable to have to be like, well, I have to have 4 land destruction in my sideboard. Yeah, right. No one wants to do that. Yeah, you because like you can't necessarily play that game, right? Yeah, the 1-for-1 answer cards never feel good to run. Yeah, they'll just beat you with a Hydroid Crisis instead if that's what you want to do. Yeah, and everyone's referring to these as Golos decks. Sure, even though really it's Field of the Dead that's the... Well, I think Field of the Dead is the card that makes more sense to ban. So there's more... I think people are expecting that this is a card that gets banned. So if we can bring up Golos Tireless Pilgrim as well. So this is another card from M20, and it's in these mostly blue-green, often with white as well, decks. So 5 mana, legendary artifact creature, Scout. Yep. I'm today years old when I realized that it's a Scout. Oh yeah, we've had Scouts in Magic for a while. Huh. Yep. So 3/5 artifact creature. When Golos enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a land. Doesn't have to be basic. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library, and then randomly has this other ability of 2 white, blue, black, red, green. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn without paying their mana costs. And let me tell you, these decks absolutely have access to those colors because again, they activate that no problem. They're obliged to play lands of many different names. And often it's Guild Gates right now, just so that Circuitous can get them, right? Yeah, play some Guild Gates. Like 7 mana. Yeah, exactly. Right, like Field of the Dead also checks for 7. Yeah, right. So I assume people are calling this like a Golos deck just because saying a Field of the Dead deck or a field deck or a dead deck is just awkward to say. Golos Field of the Dead regularly as the deck name or whatever. Golos Field? Yeah. So they tend to often, we've talked about the land search cards, they can play some removal. They might want to play 3 mana Teferi or Oko because they're really good, or Nissa. I've seen really some playing Oko, yeah. A lot of decks are just jamming a lot of like 3 mana Teferi, Oko, Nissa, because those planeswalkers are just like really good and easy to use right now. And then they tend to play Hydroid Crisis as like a refill, right? Like sort of uncounterable draw 6 or whatever, and then another threat. And I mean, that's most of a deck because you're playing like 27, 28 lands maybe. So why won't Golos get banned? I think if Golos is winning the game for you without a land, then you feel like you're playing a more normal game of Magic. And the answers in Standard exist, right? Like, you know, killing the Golos is relevant if what you're worried about is like Golos is going to activate every turn. Countering the spells that they play off of Golos is reasonable. There's 3 of them. It's a powerful activated ability, but at least you kind of see it coming. So,
but in this deck,
there's lots of like, you know, the Murderous Rider or whatever can kill Golos after they play the Golos to get a land. Okay, that's fine. If it's not Field of the Dead,
that's what
they're
I mean,
just up a mana. You untap and you kill it, and you're like, we had a fair exchange. You're up a land.
In the Field of the Dead deck, they play Golos, and if Golos resolves, that's the value, right? Like Golos is entered, you get the land, you make a bajillion zombies, and if they kill Golos, you're like, well, okay.
Yeah, like these.
He did the job. I got all these zombies.
Right. Like they can activate Golos if they want, and I'm sure they do plenty. But it's like, even if they didn't, you might still be in trouble. It might just be like Golos is just another piece of the get 4 Field of the Deads on the table plan, and then like what all you're really doing is just trying to cast your land search and growth spiral spells. And if all your opponent needs to do to beat you is like resolve a rampant growth, like that is a real feel bad. So it would make sense that WotC is addressing this situation in Standard and saying like, okay, we want to change, we want to get a BNR update sooner so that people don't have to like play miserable Magic.
Yeah,
like even if the win percentage isn't too high, they might go like, there's enough games being played where enough players are like punching their screens.
Yeah. Right, where you just like spacebar, go away.
Right.
Like, what feels worse, getting 4 of in a deck you play banned, or having a broken format?
Right. Now, a lot of people were really calling for Nexus of Fate to be banned for similar reasons, and they never pulled that trigger. Although they did in
BO1.
Yeah, exactly.
Best
in
of one
arena
on arena,
only.
yeah.
So that's interesting. And I mean, there's a chance that we'll see the same thing on the BNR update. It might be that they just give you a best of 1 ban of Field of the Dead. I'm really curious how that, like, I had kind of almost forgotten about that just now.
Usually I am reticent to repeat aloud tinfoil hat WotC conspiracy theories.
Okay.
But
well, no one's listening except me and Cam right
because
now.
I just know that
you can say whatever you want.
I know that someone will make a comment about this.
Oh, right,
if
shit, we have viewers and we're doing a podcast right now.
I know that someone will make a comment about this if we don't say it, which is that there was always the prevailing theory that WotC would not ban Nexus of Fate because it was the buy a box card.
Right.
For the record,
I have no idea.
I don't think that's correct.
Okay.
I think if it had been more backbreaking, it was pretty backbreaking. If it had been more backbreaking, I think they still would have banned it because, I mean, similar to sort of paraphrase what you said, you know, what's worse, having you know, looking stupid for making your buy box card too powerful, or having a broken format.
Yeah.
And we got through Nexus, and honestly, Standard was not that terrible in that period of time.
I remember post Guilds, it felt like, you should probably ban Nexus. But then post Allegiance, it didn't. I never thought about it again. I was just like, I played Nexus decks more after Allegiance, and they were still good. I still liked playing Nexus.
Yeah.
But it never felt like this card is too good for this format. Whereas before Allegiance, like, yeah, the mono blue tempo match was still bad, but there weren't as many people playing it, and it was more winnable. After Allegiance, it was like, you know, Terramander was out, Trans Rights, and it just another fair deck option. Like, it definitely didn't feel like after Allegiance, Nexus needed to be banned. Before Allegiance, it was like, maybe. Yeah.
So the suspicion is that they'll be banning Field of the Dead and that they move the BNR announcement so that they can indeed, it'd be too soon to, they can't do it now, like literally today, because it's too soon before Mythic Championship 5, but if they do it just after Championship 5, that's still enough time before Mythic Championship 6, and now they've given enough warning that they are moving the BNR. So I think that's their hope, is that they can sort of nip that in the bud as far as Mythic Championship 6 is concerned.
I'm fascinated to see whether they do or not. And I there's no other card that's on my radar that I think they should have to ban.
Right.
But I have a lot of respect for pro Magic players.
Yeah.
It turns out, if you won a PTQ or you just have been on the scene for whatever or won a Grand Prix, you're part of an elite crowd that's capable of solving these problems. I think it's not always the case, and any one individual might not pull it off, but a Mythic Championship does and probably will change the face of Standard. So we'll see if that happens on October 18th. If there's just some people that bring Field of the Dead decks and other people that bring decks that we haven't seen yet that don't care so much.
So that's going to be the interesting thing, because if the assumption is that most people are going to come to Mythic 5 with Golos decks.
Okay.
So then the people that, if there's people that have a deck that is strong against it, then they might be favored in that particular field. And if
Of the Dead.
Yes. And if the meta shows itself to actually have found a way to be resilient to this deck, then WotC can go, we don't have to ban it.
Right.
Because you can fight it.
Right.
But if Golos just steamrolls there's zombies across Mythic 5, then they can go, that's not going to happen next month.
Right. It's like if they see their viewer count drop off, sharply on Friday, and then throughout
Welcome
the
to
weekend,
round 5 for the
Golos
the
mirror
fifth
again.
Golos mirror of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the time that happened? Was it Eldrazi in Modern? Was that the one where it was like,
that was
here's another mirror match.
That was a tough event to watch and cast, I'm sure. Eldrazi Winter, they called it. Right? So it was they had been doing Modern only, if I'm remembering this right, Standard only Pro Tours for a long time, and then it was,
they're like,
for the Gatewatch, new year, new calendar year, so there's sometimes rollout changes then, and they were like, we're going to play Modern at this one, but then the brewing for the R&D knew about that, I think, and they were like, we need to put cards in this set that'll be okay in Modern. Or at least that's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
Right? As you're just like, Eldrazi Mimic is not even maybe good in Draft.
Right.
But oh boy, is it okay if you have Eye of Ugin in your deck, and you just can play 3 on turn 1.
I just loved that deck, the Eldrazi Winter deck, looked like
a draft pile.
Yeah, it looked like someone's leftover draft.
There were a lot of cards from Oath of the Gatewatch in it. Right?
But like the 2/1 flyer that comes with a Scion.
Yep. From Battle for Zendikar, the beforehand. I can't remember what that card's called either.
Sky,
but it was definitely it was like
Sky
a
Spawner.
Eldrazi Sky Spawner. Maybe
Yeah.
it was like definitely a draft common. Like it was chaff.
It was a good card in draft. But yeah, seeing this in a
Eldrazi Sky Spawner. Yeah,
Modern deck at the Pro Tour was wild.
It was like,
it played that 6-mana 5/5/2 that taps things.
Oh, sweetie, did you walk into the wrong queue?
And then
like,
it's
this is
no,
this
sir,
is
I'm
modern.
attacking you for lethal on turn 2.
Yeah,
right?
like,
hey, we're writing a song. We got a rhyming couplet.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Anyway, so yeah, I look forward to seeing what happens both at Mythic 5 and at the BNR announcement.
It's
and
weird.
Then
Go ahead.
And then Mythic 6.
Yeah, it's weird because maybe you do want to like bite that bullet at the first tournament with only 64 players. It's like if none of the pros do come up with various things that beat Golos, and you have a exciting, varied field, and you feel like if you watch that Mythic Championship, you can now play one of 10 different decks that are all good. Which is, I believe what WotC's trying to sell you, right?
Yeah, you place the cover back over the button and you remove the key.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
but if that doesn't, it's like if that happens, then there's a fear that there just wasn't enough testing, and there's a better version of the Golos deck that just Field of the Dead grinds you into the dirt every time, and they're all going to play it at the then bigger, longer tour, and then also there isn't a BNR announcement for a while, so it's like a longer format. So certainly, if they're going to ban Field of the Dead, we want them to do it sooner, right? Like if it turns out to be the right decision. So yeah, maybe this next Arena Mythic Championship has to kind of fall on that sword.
Yeah, right, and then. Yeah, the design team maybe needs a new memo
right
about Well, I know you guys liked your Field of the Dead decks.
Yeah, but maybe pump the brakes on that.
It's possible. I mean, yeah, any kinds of correlations between the actual play that happens after a set's release and the play that was happening in the Future League 2 years ago and 1 year ago, and can and I'm sure have happened. There are decks that the WotC team misses, right? And there are other decks that like didn't succeed as well because a card existed that kept them in check, which they had to pull or change, so that it just didn't work, right?
Right.
And you know, you find out about these stories sometimes from time to time from the designers on their Twitter and their interviews and stuff. So,
well, we're going to keep an eye on that and look forward to seeing what the announcement brings. That's going to do it for Tap Tap Concede for this week. A reminder, first of all, about the nicknames. Get your nicknames in. Check out lrr.cc/nicknames. Or you can just go directly to the TTC nicknames subreddit and get in your ideas. Or if you don't have any suggestions, please upvote ones that you like. Until next time, Tap Tap Concede is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Do check out cardkingdom.com/LRR. Tell them we sent you. Ask for a button. They'll give you a little button. And again, we think they're great. Card Kingdom. They're awesome.
Tune into the Chalice.
Yeah, tune into the Chalice. Check out my page, chalice2019.cosvox.com/Graham-Stark.
Do you remember what date it's happening?
29th. 29th? No, 27th.
27th of October?
It's the Sunday.
All right.
It's the...
Whatever that last Sunday is in
I'm going to
October.
extra confirm... 27th.
Yeah. Go to Graham's page. Don't shave that prof.
Yes. It'll be weird. Don't give us...
Leave Brian's hair on his head.
Brian. And, of course, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Thank you so much for listening. I've been Graham.
I've been Cameron.
I've been Nelson.
Beej is on tech this week. Heather gets these online. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you next time.